The New York Knicks are making some serious changes to their team in regards to how they will be playing this year, and this has fans fired up, as fans have been waiting to hear that the Knicks are going to be making a change like this when it comes to the way that their rotations work, with a few very interesting pathways to go, and one of them being something that nobody would see coming, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. We're going to jump right into things as always. If you guys are part of that 63% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe for daily New York Knicks updates. We're having a lot of fun on this channel. We got videos every single day. You do not want to miss out on all the latest New York Knicks updates, so make sure to have those post notifications on. But let's jump into it, because when Mike Brown took over, we knew a lot of things would be changing for the New York Knicks. For instance, what we would be seeing is a completely different team, one that was going to actually use their bench and play with a faster pace and play an offensive style of game, instead of a slower, methodical, freelance offense where you're mainly focused on being a defensive team, despite the fact that your best players are Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, with very little bench usage from Tom Thibodeau. Mike Brown is not going to do a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of changes to what the Knicks are going to be playing like, and honestly, they do seem like they are the changes that are going to help this team actually play a beneficial style of basketball, where the defensive style last year felt like it was hurting things considering who the two best players on the team were. Meanwhile, everyone the Knicks have, all their top players, all bring something valuable to the table on offense, and that's not the case on defense. So having Mike Brown come in is very good for that reason, and with Mike Brown coming in, there's going to be some changes, and that was mentioned by Kristen Winfield, who said, what could a starting lineup change start to look like here? Because there's already internal support to keep the same starters, according to Ian Begley. The Knicks nearly stole the conference finals away from the Pacers after Thibodeau made that Robinson for Josh Hart switch, and New York would dominate the glass with a pair of 7-footers clogging the paint with Robinson and Towns. It's hard to see Towns, who makes $53.1 million for the 2025-26 season, on Anunoby, who's making $39.6 million, or Bridges making around $25 million, coming off the bench. Also, Towns, was an all-star. And there's no world where Brunson comes off the bench either. Robinson did come off the bench after his injury last season, and he was just as impactful in a reserve role as he was in the starting lineup. If Robinson is coming off the bench, though, who would you start in his place? And that's the big question. And as Winfield mentioned, Hart is a candidate, as there's internal support, but also, he's a candidate if his three-point shot is falling. Last year, he shot it at a 33.3% clip, and though it should be noted that he shot 37% from three over the last two playoff appearances that the Knicks have had, it would kind of be the same lineup that the Knicks ran with Tom Thibodeau. Now, obviously, we could see the Knicks do that. It feels like one of these two is going to be the starter next year, and the other one will come off the bench. I've said it before, I want Mitchell Robinson to start. I understand that you don't really have a whole lot of big man depth, but you also don't have zero depth. It means you get to use Ariel Hukporti a bit more, and you also have Gershon Yabusele, who can play that 5 in a small ball role. And also you can stagger the minutes of Mitch and Towns enough to where one of them will be on the floor for the most part, so Yabusele can play that 4 still for the majority of the game, with just a bit of center play as well. And also you would give a chance for Ariel Hukporti, as I just mentioned, which also does play an impact on things here, because Hukporti's not exactly the youngest rookie of all time, so it would make sense, or youngest second-year player of all time now, so it would make sense to give him some minutes this season. I do believe they will, considering that he does bring a few valuable factors to the game. He moves fast, he's a rim runner, so that fast-paced offense is going to work. He's a really good high-post playmaker as well. He's got a lot to like. He's very similar to Isaiah Hartenstein in a ton of ways. And Mitchell Robinson, though, he's still going to be my choice, because he averaged 7 rebounds and 5 points in the playoffs last season. Now, the block shots were not fully there yet. He was still finding his footing once again, but he was still doing Mitchell Robinson things. He was shooting 61% from the field. He was getting nearly 4 offensive rebounds a night. He's still Mitchell Robinson. This is the guy that the New York Knicks have been a huge fan of forever. So he's the longest tenured Knick by a wide margin for a reason. Robinson has been nothing short of awesome for this Knicks team. He's pre-pandemic. That's how long he's been with the New York Knicks. Just to put something into perspective, Mitchell Robinson was teammates with Kristaps Porzingis. That's how long he's been on this Knicks team. They never played a game together because Porzingis was out with the ACL tear, but they were teammates on the Knicks together. Mitchell Robinson was teammates with Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee. He was teammates with all those guys. This man has been around the block with the Knicks. So it's something that we have to be aware of because it feels like Courtney Lee was on the Knicks maybe 50 million years ago. So when you think about that, I feel like he's the one who really sticks out as like, wow. That's shocking. But so Mitch has been around. There's a reason why he's stuck around through the different regime changes. It's because what he does is going to stay valuable. I think he's the guy who you go with here. And we also look at the lineups that have featured Mitch and Cat, and they've been great. I mean, throughout the playoffs, what we saw was these four-man lineups of Anunoby, Towns, Robinson, Deuce McBride have a net rating of 57.9. We've seen Towns, Hart, Mitch, Deuce McBride have a 36.4 net rating. We've seen Towns, Bridges, Mitch, McBride have a 31 net rating. Towns, Payne, Robinson, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, 16.7 net rating. Towns, Payne, Anunoby, Mitch, 13 net rating. None of these lineups even featured Jalen Brunson, and they all had incredibly positive net ratings because when Towns and Mitch were on the floor together, good things happened. And this is from a Reddit post that did expand further, saying this, that when it comes to four-man lineups and the values relative to league average, what we saw was Towns, Payne, Mitch, and Deuce with 23 total minutes have a net rating of 16.7, and then Towns, Mikal, Mitch, Deuce have a net rating of 31, have that Towns, Anunoby, Mitch, Deuce lineup with that 57.9, the Towns, Hart, Mitch, Deuce lineup with a 36.4. We've seen a bunch of different lineups that worked, and the Knicks now have a better backup guard than Cameron Payne as well, which is also something to take into play here, because it just shows how valuable Mitchell Robinson is to any team that he shows up for, because all the stuff that he does is just flat out hard to replace when it comes to Mitch. I mean, he catches lobs very well. He's been someone who's just been able to handle everything that's been thrown his way with the elite offensive rebounding talents and just going out there and being a guy who you could rely on time and time again. It feels like he's the obvious choice to bring in to this starting lineup. He dominates everywhere in that paint area, and the Knicks could use that so Towns can be more on the perimeter where he likes to be. And also, Mitch isn't going to allow big men to guard like a smaller guy. That's not going to happen the way that it was happening with Josh Hart. Big men are going to have to guard Mitch, and when you do that, it means that a forward is going to be on Towns, and yeah, Towns had less success on them, but also at the same time, the big man's not really going to be able to help, because if you help, Mitch is going to get under that dunker spot and grab every offensive rebound. So there is going to be that struggle where Josh Hart isn't going to be able to do all that because he's a lot shorter, and teams weren't respecting his jump shot when he was hanging out on the perimeter. Mitch isn't going to be on the perimeter. He's going to be down there, and he's going to be able to create some space for himself for Cat to dump the ball off to, which is going to lead to more touches for everyone involved, which is something super important to go through when you consider this whole situation that the Knicks are really looking at here. Now, on top of that, you also just take a look at Josh Hart from last season, the regular season, and he was great. He had 13.6 points per game, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, got 1.5 steals, shot 52% from the field, and 33% from three. Josh Hart was an effective player last year, but when big men started guarding him and doubling Cat, because Josh wasn't really shooting a ton of threes and teams weren't respecting it, the offense did suffer a lot. They dropped really a lot in offensive ratings, so that's why you probably need to make some sort of switch. And I mean, as Winfield mentioned, you could also do a Brunson, Deuce McBride backcourt, and it would be small in a league only growing at the guard spot, but Deuce is a hound of a defender and a knockdown three-point shooter. The rising fourth-year guard shot about 37% from deep in both the regular season and the playoffs. Brunson and McBride posted a net rating of plus 6.9 in 693 minutes spent on the floor during the regular season, and were plus 9 in the 184 minutes in the playoffs. The lineup of Brunson, Towns, and McBride was a plus 13.4 in 289 minutes last season, and virtually broke even in their time shared in the playoffs. And when it comes down to it, Deuce and Brunson have always played very well together. Brunson plays well with other guards, and Deuce plays excellently with Jalen Brunson, because Brunson sets him up for a lot of great opportunities. Now, on top of that, last season, Deuce put up 9.5 points per game, 3 assists, and 2.5 rebounds, shooting 37% from 3 and 40% from the field as well, getting a steal per game. He's arguably the best point of attack defender on the Knicks as well, which would fit into their starting lineup. And also, guys, it is important to note one thing when it comes to the Knicks head coach in Mike Brown. Mike Brown, with the Sacramento Kings when they made the playoffs, his starting lineup was, I mean, you had these teams that were very, very small. You had, I mean, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, your power forward center duo, just to be clear, was Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis. And then you got Keegan Murray, or You have De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Harrison Barnes. It's not a big unit. It never was a big unit. Davion Mitchell was the first sub in the game as well for those teams. They were not a big unit. So Mike Brown is not necessarily going to be stopped by small ball. Remember, this guy coached the Warriors when they won multiple NBA championships. So it's not like Mike Brown is going to be deterred by a small ball unit, and we have to be aware of that he could start Brunson and Deuce together. Something that I actually want to see happen as an experiment, because I do believe the Knicks will have a few different starting lineups this year, like Mike Brown has done in the past. Now, Deuce in the playoffs was solid. He put up 6 points, shot 37% from the field and 37% from three. Almost all of his shots were threes, so that's why that is. And, I mean, the true shooting was solid as well, even though he shot 37% from the field, really 38% from the field. So it's good to see the Deuce is someone who could fit in very well with this starting unit. I think it would be an interesting fit. Now, Pacome Dadier is another option as well here, putting up 15 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. Kristen Winfield did float the idea of Dadier becoming a starter on this team, saying, and here's an outside-the-box unlikely idea. Throw Pacome Dadier into the fire and figure out the rest on the fly. At 6'7" with a 6'9" wingspan and near 9-foot standing reach, Dadier, who the Knicks selected 25th overall in the 2024 NBA draft, has textbook wing size and a sweet shooting stroke. The second-year Frenchman missed the final 3 Summer League games with a toe sprain, but shot 8 for 13 in the Summer League opener for 17 points against the Detroit Pistons. Again, it's unlikely. After all, Dadier played approximately 0 important minutes last season for the Knicks and spent most of his time in Westchester on the G League assignment. However, he does add a fun mix into things because you know he's going to get more minutes this season, and maybe he breaks out. The guy's shown potential to be a very good 3-and-D player, if nothing else, already. And he likes putting the ball on the floor as well. It might not be the worst idea to give him some serious minutes. I like Winfield's outside-the-box idea here. What starting lineup do you guys want to see? We know that Brunson, Mikal, OG, and Cat will be in. Who's the 5th starter? Is it Mitch? Is it Josh Hart? Is it Deuce McBride? Is it Gershon Yabusele? Is it Jordan Clarkson? Is it me? Is it Pacome Dadier? Who is it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Go Knicks.